Michael Wray again, and we're going to go over some of the comments, and we're just going to chat about stuff that's been going on and what he's doing. And I have a couple questions I'd like to ask as well. So, all right, we'll get started.
What's up, everybody?
So yeah, Michael, how have you been? How have you been doing since our last talk?
Been doing good. Good. I'm trying to get some projects moving in my horizon here, so those things are actually starting to come to fruition. Food trucks and a consulting gig with a new restaurant opening.
He's also in talks with Robert Hess, another Hell's Kitchen contestant from season 5 and 6. So they may be doing some work together in the future.
Yeah, we're working on a project as we speak right now.
Michael's been out of the radar for many years. We haven't really known anything about him. I was the first person to get in contact with him to interview him and kind of see where he's at. So if you know from the last video, he went through a lot of stuff in his life, and now he is very stable, and he's about to get married, and he has a lot of things that are really good going on. He's been able to grow his Instagram through the last video, and he's been able to get in contact with a lot of fans.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Ever since that interview, this whole social media thing is absolutely new to me, and it blows me away that people contact me and are like, "You're inspirational," or they can relate to what I'm saying. And I'm just like, what the? Oh my God! I try to answer everybody because it's the most honorific feeling. I always want to give the impression that I was worthy of winning Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
So I have worked so hard at trying to maintain being on point in the kitchen, and to hear somebody be or defend me or stick up for me, it just it blows my mind away. I think it's seriously one of the most wonderful feelings in the world.
So how did you feel about your Hell's Kitchen
before
status?
You reached out to me? Honestly, I wouldn't even put Hell's Kitchen on my resume. It would be this tiny little blurb at the end of it. I never wanted to feel like I was using Hell's Kitchen to get myself anywhere in life. And it's I should have had the opposite. I should have been feeling I was on this show, I won this amazing show. I didn't think anybody honestly gave 2 cents about me. It was 2005 when I won, and that's 2018 right now, and so it seems like now Hell's Kitchen means so much more to me than it actually even did then, because honestly also, come on, I feel like I've wasted my opportunity Hell's Kitchen gave me. Might not have wasted it on purpose. I wasn't I'm gonna screw this off, but my one times to shine and really capitalize upon this, I was concentrated on my drugs, and I was concentrated on grieving. I am starting to GoFundMe. I am gonna ask people for help. I want another chance to prove Hell's Kitchen material. I want another chance to give people an opportunity to come and taste my food. What my goal would be is to get this GoFundMe going, get my food truck going, and then go on a tour from West Coast to East Coast, and just hit up. Anybody who wants to try my food, this is where I'm going to be. Thank you for helping me get here.
So the first comment that I want to read, it's by Not So Silent Majority. It says, "The worst thing in life is wasted talent." It says, "A great video. Michael still lights up when he talks about cooking and being a chef. It's unfortunate that he hit some serious rough spots in life. Losing a child, divorce, and drug addiction are all hard things to deal with." So now, would you just want to comment to this person?
They really got a vibe of what I was trying to show in the video.
Yeah.
Really, and I appreciate these kinds of comments. They keep me from not being I wasted my life. They keep me believing that this is something special. I'm going to keep rolling with it. Really, I would love, my goal is to be able to have a food truck so I could go find this person and be like, "Hey, come to my food truck. I'm going to actually come take care of you." You do these amazing things about me.
I've been able to connect Michael with Barrett Byers from season 11 and Robert Hess. How are some of your experiences just getting more connected with some people in the Hell's Kitchen community?
Oh, let me tell you, it blows my mind away to hear the intelligence that these guys use to capitalize upon this platform that they have.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh man, you're the OG winner, you're the first winner, this and that." And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I am so poor right now. I barely can afford anything. My car payment, everything in life is such a struggle. It's a happy struggle.
Yeah.
I've had much worse struggle. But these guys are not worrying so much about paying their bills than they are about just kicking ass at work. And that's I want to be like that. You have to be a really amazing person in some aspect to be on Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Win, lose, first place, get kicked off very first, and so I'm gonna meet up with these guys, and each one of them okay, so that's why they're on Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
I get it, Especially Robert. Robert has his shit together as a chef, and I really hope that I can learn his ways. The guy knows what he's doing. And I've never really watched any of the other episodes.
Yeah.
I've always been really kind of standoffish because, like I said, you know, I have had a lot of shame for the last 10 years over like, you were on Hell's Kitchen, where are you at? Oh, you know, I'm like living under the Burbank underpass off the 5, you know, eating other people's food that I get out of the trash at the food court. And oh, what else am I doing? Oh, I abuse drugs, like I love doing that. And so it was like, you have a lot of shame, I guess. It's taught me to be like, oh, well, this is actually a really cool thing, you know? And like also, I mean, I give all the respect and all the props to Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
What he expects out of all of us as chefs, and just his level of perfection is just so inspirational to so many people. I get a lot of comments on looking.
Well, yeah, Michael looks different.
Sick.
People watch season 1, then they look at the current Michael and don't realize that there's like a 13-year gap between all those episodes.
Part of what happened to my body is I really wrecked my body, and I lost a lot of weight that I'm really trying hard to gain back right now. You know, I'm 41 years old, and you know, life has taken a toll on me. But I'm not sick. I'm actually on the mend as we speak. But I know I might not be the most attractive chef in the world. You know, that's why I try to work very hard at having excellent tasting food.
Yep. So it says, great interview. This is my professional YouTube commenter. Michael Wray is still one of the most original characters of Hell's Kitchen. If you go back and watch the first season, Michael was the only one that seemed to get it right off the bat. All the more impressive because it was the first season of the show. The restaurant he designed in the season 1 finale was absolutely beautiful. He came across as quiet and talented.
I felt like a lot of people from the beginning should catch on really fast that like the one phrase that's going to get you through a lot of Hell's Kitchen is yes and chef.
Yeah.
You know? You suck, yes chef, I'm on it, yes chef.
If I read on the comment, it says, but I remember only Jessica seemed to catch on that Michael is actually quite ruthless. In a weird way, Michael reminds me of Puck from Real World San Francisco in 1993, the original reality TV characters that broke the mold. So Michael is different, definitely.
I like to feel like I said, I haven't watched a lot of the other Hell's Kitchens, but you know, I feel like there are molded chefs that I try not to be like. You know, I don't wear clogs. You know, if I wear a chef jacket, I usually wear a dishwasher jacket. Like pronouncing yourself as a chef and trying to adjust the type, like to me, the only thing that makes you a chef is how hard you worked that day before or that day. Like we only call ourselves chefs because we just kicked ass the day before. It's just one of those worlds that your actions speak louder than anything else, you know.
Yeah.
And we have to pay our dues as a chef. Like you have to put in the time. You can't be a junkie and you can't love drugs and be a chef, because to be a chef you gotta love food, you gotta love hard work, you gotta love sacrifice.
When we look at the restaurant industry today, we see that a lot of chefs are running to drugs to kind of just keep them moving forward.
We always have.
Yeah.
We've always used drugs to keep us moving forward, you know. Part of the problem is now there's so much more drugs that chefs are getting into.
Yeah.
I've walked out of more than one job since I made the choice of trying to get sober, because there are people in the back, you know, doing lines of cocaine in the back of the prep kitchen, you know. It's like, this ain't the 80s anymore. Like, there's just, you know, in this day and age, if you're at work and you feel like you need to do something, go in the back and, you know, use some of your medical marijuana and, you know, whatever you got to do. You know, there's no need for any of that nonsense anymore in the kitchen.
The next question says, my only question for Michael would be, what was his mindset going into a brand new reality TV show at a time when the reality TV really began to take over television as a whole?
They sequestered us for about a week before they started filming, right?
Yeah.
So everybody was in their own hotel room, alone from everybody. You can't use the phone, you can't reach out. Then we're gonna start filming, it's gonna be our first day. They put blindfolds on all of us.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and we're being like led through all this like room, sit here for 5 minutes while you're blindfolded. And I can remember them taking out the blindfolds and just being like, okay, here it goes. And just like, it was like being on a roller coaster right when you do that first jump, and all of a sudden it's just like, there was almost an expectation from the production staff and from Gordon that there was like this undertone on how they presented stuff to us and sort of how we should act. And I felt like the people who had a lot of perception and picked up on this were like, we're gonna go far.
Yeah.
You know, and the people who kind of didn't get it, obviously we're going to be ran over in the very beginning.
Take us through the casting process.
But the casting process was, so like, there are so many callbacks. And so, you know, you go through the interview and like there's a whole process in the beginning where they probably go through, you know, thousands and thousands of people. and this will be like your first callback. That part of my interviews and everything seemed to go really good. Getting that phone call saying, so we want to meet with you one more time. They had whittled it down to like 100 people.
Yeah.
They brought us all into this hotel. They had 50 people in the daytime, or in the AM one, and 50 in the afternoon. It was like those questions you take in school, like the multiple choice with the little bubbles. And it was like psychology tests. We did they did drug screens on everybody. There was like a screen from the doctor to make sure our general health was okay. I feel like they were getting a complete psychological makeup on each contestant in order to know how to like press their buttons better.
Yeah.
It was very surreal, like going through that process and like going through the next stage, and like people dropping back. And I think I was working in West Hollywood. I got that final phone call that was like, you're gonna be on this show, and it was just like, okay, what did I get myself into here? I mean, I was excited, but I'm a shy person, and I was kind of like, being on Hell's Kitchen wasn't exactly my idea. Destiny kind of put me in that direction.
Yeah.
And the bottom line, any opportunity to have been able to get next to Gordon Ramsay, have Gordon Ramsay know my name, or anything to do with Gordon Ramsay was like worth it, because, I had known of him before, and, I have a lot of affinity for Marco Pierre White.
Yeah.
And, I just wanted to be part of that world. And so to have been able to get to know him, the little bit that I did, like, I'm sure he probably doesn't even remember me. I mean, he might remember all the winners or everything, but I'm definitely not a thought of Gordon Ramsay, I can tell you that. I'm sure they really wanted their contestants to go on and, like, win Hell's Kitchen and go off to be, like, the world's best chef, and, like, I feel like I've become the world's best chef in my own world, I'm so happy with what I've turned out to be. I feel like I've been blessed. I know there was a couple questions about my sobriety and drug use and whatnot, and when I have scoliosis. When I was 18, I had a Harrington rods put in my back, and I had my thoracic spine fused, about this much of my spine. And about 3 weeks after my surgery, I actually had an overdose on morphine, unintentional, but I overdosed, and I actually bent some rods and snapped 2 screws in my spine.
Oh, wow.
And caused some damage, and so they had to wait for that to heal before they could do the surgery again. But ever since then, I was taking pain medication, going to pain management, all the way through Hell's Kitchen. So when I was doing drugs and abusing opiates, it was always pain medication, and I was always going through my doctors.
Yeah.
At one point, I was going to a doctor a week, doctor shopping, of course, and I was using IV drugs my last, like, close to 10 years. And there are so many different ways to come about your sobriety in life. And abstinence was not the way for me. When I talk about sobriety, I would love to clarify this. Sobriety to me, in my definition to my world, is that I am no longer interacting, abusing, touching, or messing with opiate medication in any way. There's always concerns of maybe using alcohol or marijuana will sort of break down your barriers, and you'll be like, oh, screw it, I'm just going to go back to using. Yeah, I mean, hey, bottom line, if I didn't stop using opiates and I've eaten my drugs, I was going to die. I mean, every time you do that, you're gambling just a little bit.
Yeah.
And when complete abstinence is not working, like cutting everything out of your life might work for a little bit, and then you go back to using, and all that hard work is down the drain. I live in California here, so I utilized our laws in using medical marijuana legally, and I enjoy drinking some of the darker beers for flavor, I guess, you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely, and I don't suggest other people do what I do as far as my sobriety goes, but just, I truly believe that you have to figure out a way to get off the drugs that are killing your life, you know what I mean?
So do you feel like you're not really like, you're not like an alcoholic or heavy, you're not really like doing those crazy things?
Because a lot of people, you're always told as recovering addicts that, like, listen, you're recovering from this drug, you can't do any drugs because it's going to weaken your resolve of not doing this drug,
That doesn't make sense in most cases too.
But the statistics and everything tells you, people who go through NA, it really works for some people, but it works for a little bit, and then, they relapse, and you go right back. If I'm in that situation where life has put me down, and you're like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to use, well, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to smoke a bowl, and you're like, not that it almost looks like I've replaced one drug for another, and, I guess in a sense I would like to be truly honest. I'm not saying what I do, but it works for me, it's right for me. I have not a relapse in 6 years, and I currently take Suboxone.
Is that a pain medication?
It's a synthetic medication that's a slow-acting opiate that works on a different opiate receptor than like heroin or Vicodin.
You still deal with the pain from the scoliosis,
absolutely,
and all that stuff.
But it's worth it. The pain is nothing compared to the pain of abuse. What it does to your life. have permanently scarred my brain and my body, and I will never be able to not take opiates until the day I die. It's really sad.
So that medication, what it does is it helps you not to be like the withdrawal.
Yeah, it helps me with my withdrawals, and at the same time, Suboxone acts as an opiate blocker. So if I was to try to IV different drugs or take drugs, it would stop it, and it would actually get me sick if I tried to inject something. And you know, it's a medication that works awesome for me. That's another thing with abstinence and with opiates. Like people, they try to get off opiates too fast.
Yeah.
Go into something long term. Take your time getting off the drugs.
Like, you kill yourself trying to go cold turkey.
You need to take your time. If anybody is having any problem out there with opiates, you feel like your life is just, you know, you're done with it all, talk to your doctor. Get on to Suboxone. It changed my life. Like, it was just night and day, you know. And so, like, I also want to get the impression that I've been able to kick drugs because I still take this medication from my doctor, you know, and I have to go to my pharmacist every week. I'm not given 30 days worth of medication.
Yeah.
Like, I still live my life as like a recovering addict. It's still, you know, my fiance holds on to my medication. I'm not allowed to touch it, hold it. If I do, I will go back to abusing it in a heartbeat, you know. As far as having my life under control, you know, I feel like it's the best it's ever been. They are making an implant for my medication, and there's so much hope. I mean, it's not part of my life anymore. You know, I don't wake up going like, oh, I gotta get drugs, I gotta get not sick, life's too hard, where's my hustle, you know, now it's wake up and go to work. You know?
Michael, and he has a lot of cool things happening. He's gonna be surrounded by some really cool people to where I just feel maybe an impression it's gonna take your mind off of maybe looking back at the past and the things that you used to do, because now we're looking in the future.
It is. That's a great point, because just recently on June 13th was my six years like without taking my opiates anymore.
Awesome.
And I completely forgot the day. It wasn't even a concern of mine. Like, you know, it's a great thought. Is that like the other thing about some of these like NA and stuff is that they always say like, oh, you don't ever want to forget you're an addict, but sometimes you don't want to. You just don't want to be living that life. Sometimes it's awesome feeling to like that drug abuse or your past isn't like something that's really, you know, affecting my thinking now.
Yeah.
I love that. When I won Hell's Kitchen and stuff, I didn't know shit that I know. Not knowing what I know now, knowing what I know then, it would have been all faking it till I made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just wasn't ready. I had all like the pomp, I had all that, the ego a chef could have. But now knowing like, now when I take on a consulting gig or I want to go into business for myself, it's because I absolutely 100% know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you if I'd be successful or not, but I could tell you that my life would have gotten completely out of control.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My drug addiction was too much of a monster. If I would have had any kind of success, any kind of real money, I would have been dead, bottom line, dead. You know, like I needed to go on this journey in life in order to appreciate where I am now.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear to you, Miles, my only one regret in life is this thing with Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Is having been given this fucking amazing opportunity. Like, I really feel like Gordon and Hell's Kitchen are like disappointed with me. Just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm the first winner. I needed to be like, look, this is our winner and look what he went on to do. You know what I mean? And like, oh, look at our first winner. He went on to have some problems in life, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, my regret is that, you know, people were happy and rooted for me and I didn't follow through. I'm really sorry, guys. But it's going to happen. I promise you that.
So I was watching Hell's Kitchen season 6, the ending finale. I don't know if you remember this, but you were at that after party when Dave Levy, the season 6 winner, won. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all. There's actually some interviews that I think they pulled off the air because I looked that bad. Now, I went into rehab one of my rehabs, like pretty close after first Hell's Kitchen. And I remember they came and picked me up. I was in rehab looking like even ghosted out more than I am now. And it was bad. Like it was embarrassing.
I know you were a guest judge for...
Yeah, with Rock.
Yeah, for Rock.
Yeah, dude, Rock was awesome. Rock is definitely Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be like Rock.
He's one of the OG winners too. Like the first 5 people to win, they're it, man.
I had a lot of respect for Rock. I got to hang out with him for a little bit. And,
yep.
You know, and we actually hooked up on Instagram recently. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's awesome. So one thing I just want to take you guys through is just a timeline. Michael got the surgery at 18. at 27, right? You were on Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, 27.
So he's dealing with these problems with his back, just kind of struggling with the pain medicine because your pain was never actually really controlled.
Yeah, it was always in pain, but
Yeah.
like I learned now that like just live with the pain.
You see him on the show, and he's just dealing with this like somewhat battle, like just teeter-tottering over the edge. Like he really doesn't want to fall into this lifestyle. He really wants to succeed in what he's doing, but he's also like many of us, we're young, we don't really know what to do. So we're just kind of learning and just going through like these patterns and just we're going through life. So he wins Hell's Kitchen, he gets his status, and he wins all this money. And my question for you is, do you think that the money multiplied some of the problems in your life and even just exposed you to people that were maybe just not very good influences on you at that time? Like,
Absolutely. The feeling that winning Hell's Kitchen gave me and having all that money and stuff, I did not know how to process those feelings. Not that it ever got to my head, but I had no guidance, so I really needed some like advice and just how to deal with all of this. So, you know, like I said, I think living with all the shame really just influenced my decisions and how I acted. Just being on Hell's Kitchen, having been on that, it was so true. You start getting to go to more parties. The people you like, drugs become available. Like my doctors, I'm no joke. Like I was able to get away with murder with my doctors because I was on Hell's Kitchen and I was a patient of theirs.
Yeah.
Like out of my medication, you know, I don't know, 13 days early. Oh, no problem, Michael. Here, we'll just get you the script of this medication so your insurance won't know. And it's just like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm in trouble now.
Do you think when these people win Hell's Kitchen, they should maybe have someone like Gordon or someone that can really just kind of guide them along that process of having all this money, having all this status that they do at that time?
Yeah, how to not waste
just
it.
to kind of just not waste it. And even a lot of contestants, they leave with so much status, they don't know what to do with it. And they already come on the show, like many of us, we have a lot of issues in our lives that we haven't really dealt with. So we have status, we have money, and then it just really capitalizes and multiplies the issues we already have.
Having money really like brings out all the worst aspects of you. Because you start to have all this time and like there's something about the honesty of the struggle of like having to go to work on time, kick butt at work, get your paycheck. There's just something honest about that struggle, you know. And when you're doing that struggle and you're making good money, that's one thing. But like the kind of profession we are, and then all of a sudden coming into a bunch of money where you're stopping to work, you're stopping. Now you're like, oh, what business am I going to open with this money? Or like, you know, you forget about the formula that got you there, and that's working hard, going to work, doing what you're supposed to do at work, go home, go to bed, wake up, and do the next thing the next day. You know, there's absolutely no structure or guidance. You know, like I had made so many poor decisions, wasted so much money. It was life-changing.
So we have someone called Kenty Baldovino. It says, I really admire your way of cooking, Mr. Michael. When I was watching the season 1 of Hell's Kitchen, I was captivated by it. I'm one of your #1 fans. What do you got to say to that?
You know, I appreciate that. I would love people that they love. I get that a lot about they think I'm a great chef. They love my cooking, you know, and it's what really pushes me. I mean, really, ultimately, my goal with having any kind of restaurant or any kind of food outlet at this point is to be able to have people be like, oh, I love Hell's Kitchen. Where can I come get your food? And I could be like, boom, here you go. My food just be right here. Come, I'm going to take care of you. I mean, that's the connection that I'm really hoping to foster out of any of this is actually getting to be able to have people come and like...
Cook for the fans of the show?
Yeah, man. That's where it's at.
By Tiffany R. Man, addiction is a nightmare. I'm glad he's still alive and passionate about life. I hope he is successful and bounces back. His full disclosure comment seems to suggest that he is not completely sober of everything. That's a dangerous game for addicts. Either way, I wish him the best. So you kind of touched on
Yeah, exactly. That's what we were talking about earlier. I wish that earlier on people could have told me that, hey, there's more than one way to get sober.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, our goal is to not be wiped out on drugs. I mean, when you're in that situation, absolutely. And so, like, and it is a dangerous game for someone to, you know, you can switch your addictions really fast. You know, I mean, I really can't stress the amount that everybody has to find their own way and their own path to their sobriety.
So we have another comment by AM0E. I don't know how to say that. It says, came here after watching the first season. I have to say that I honestly didn't like Michael much during the show, although he was always fascinating. I was rooting for Ralph to win, but here he comes across as a really lovely and wise individual. I often think that the life of a restaurant chef is too demanding, There should be a way of producing food for profit that doesn't cause people to burn out so much.
I totally agree. What a great comment for sure. Absolutely. I was always rooting for Ralph myself too, so I think that's cool. I like Ralph, man. He was awesome. I mean, Jessica, Ralph, I mean, I love all them. I just had never talked to them. You know, they're great people, great contestants. They're great friends. I just, you know.
Ralph ended up opening, I think, 3 restaurants.
Yeah, Ralph had like great pedigree in his family. I believe they came from like his restaurant. They all own restaurants. Like Ralph definitely had the great hustle, great game. He knew what he was doing.
We have a comment from Domingo Gonzalez. It says, "Dude, this guy is so awesome. I would love to see him working with Chef Ramsey in a restaurant."
Okay, this is a great comment. I would love to work for Gordon Ramsay in a restaurant, but that guy is so busy. I would just be working at one of his restaurants.
Yeah, one of his restaurants.
Right. If I would be like working and learning from Gordon, I'd be washing dishes in a heartbeat. It was like. Ooh, I like this one. He aged faster than Gordon Ramsay. I don't know. I think it's a rate. I think we're pretty much tied on that one.
You're tied with his deep veins.
Yeah, we both definitely look better on TV than we did in person. Though I don't know. He kicked the crap out of me. Though Gordon Ramsay's huge, man. He's badass.
How tall is he? Do you think?
He's definitely 6'3" or 6'4". You know.
We don't think about how tall Gordon Ramsay is, but he's actually he's a soccer player. So L River says, "So sad, much went down for Michael Wray. Honestly, this interviewer seems out of his depth talking about such deep issues. I really hope everything goes well for Michael here on out."
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to say, put in my 2 cents about Miles here. Like, you know, there are some comments about him not being the best interviewer, you know. But, you know, this is my first interview. We're in this together. We might just be starting off. But Miles has reached out to me. He asks me great questions. You know, he has great follow-up questions. And so, you know, I am so grateful for Miles for putting me out here. I mean, he's the reason why I'm sitting here in front of the camera and reading questions and trying to interact with people, you know. He's the first one to believe in me. So, you know, I believe in him. And I think he's a great interviewer myself.
Thank you. I have a goal to interview 100 Hell's Kitchen contestants. So I watched Hell's Kitchen. I was thinking about all these contestants never being followed up on over the years, and I'm like, what if I was someone that can interview these people and kind of give up-to-date information? So I contacted a couple contestants. They're all rejecting me. And I found an Instagram, Skull and Cleavers 13, which is Michael's Instagram. Had I think it was 70 followers. Didn't really have much of a following. And all through Instagram we talked, we exchanged numbers, but we still just talked only through Instagram. And I told Michael, hey, I will help you set up some of your social media, give you some tips, because I do freelance social media marketing. That's something I'm trying to build up just through all my connections with the chefs, because I want to focus in the restaurant industry. We started chatting over Instagram. He ends up getting a hotel next to my house. I remember pacing around my house 30 minutes before I got to my house, telling my wife, I've never even spoken to him on the phone. I've only texted his real number once. I don't even know if this is a real person. And she's like, you didn't talk to him at least to make sure it was a real person? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I just went with everything. I hope this person isn't a fake person with a fake account with one picture of Michael.
Surprise!
And then I didn't know it was a real thing till he showed up at my door. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is legit. And I'm scared because I'm with someone that won Hell's Kitchen. A part of me is I have a business mindset. A part of me is I want to support Michael. And at the same time, I'm a super huge fan of the show and everything about it. I want to know all the inside details and the production, all that stuff. So I have other chefs lined up that ever since I talked to Michael, now they want to talk to me, but they rejected me before and didn't want to talk to me.
Aww.
So Michael is the first person to say yes, and he's a person that taught me that's never wrong just to ask for something.
Never hurts.
Yeah, it never hurts to ask. By Lionheart, 810. I always wondered if Hell's Kitchen was scripted, especially the challenges where it was always a tie, down to just that last dish to decide. Do you feel that it was scripted, or was it actually just how the challenges ended up working themselves out?
I think that it's deeper than that. I don't think it's scripted. I think that these producers are on a deep psychological level where they know who they're putting up against, what their strengths and challenges are. I don't feel like it's scripted in a sense that the contestants are being led through a certain way, but I think in the background that I think the producers know what's going to happen just from experience, and I think that there are so many cameras and so many angles that they just like capitalize upon any situation that comes up during, and then they go back and edit. But as far as like the biggest things I would be looking for would be like days out of order from when they filmed them. And I can remember on my season at least, like it was all in order. They weren't really like monkeying around. Yeah, I would have to say it's a pretty consistent like view and like representation of what's happening.
Michael actually invited me and my wife to his wedding, so that's super amazing.
The post would be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun. So what's the best part about being on the show?
The exposure to people, getting people the opportunity to learn who I am and hopefully root for me. Hopefully root for me again.
What was your lowest point of being on the show?
My lowest points of being on the show were like, I think hiding in the stalls, like taking my pain medication and kind of living a double life, presenting myself as this badass chef and at the same time, being really weak at the other aspects of my life. I think it's kind of a shameful way to live.
Because the producers have to know everything about you. Because Michael wasn't an addict or anything yet. He was just like kind of teeter-tottering on that. How did they help you through that while just being on the show?
I went in with medication and I ran out of my script, and they were able to go get my refill for me. I was allowed no alcohol in Hell's Kitchen. Anything I drank was
cider.
It was all cider, apple juice, that kind of stuff, grape juice.
Another question. What's your favorite food?
To eat or to cook?
Eat.
Some of my favorite things to eat is bagels and cream cheese.
Oh, wow.
Duck confit. I love cooking French food, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
I think one of my favorite traditional French dishes to make is the cassoulet dish. It's like a casserole dish with duck confit, sausages, sweet potatoes, like a pork sausage, like pieces of beef, I believe. Really good broth. I don't know. You bake it.
All right, so he's got to make that for me. We're gonna make sure he does that.
Oh yeah, cassoulet. I'm at the wedding.
When did you first start cooking?
Started washing dishes when I was 16. Washing dishes, started prep cooking. I always enjoyed cooking, like we do as kids and all that. But it was my first day as a dishwasher. At the end of my shift, being so tired and being handed a beer and a joint and being like, hey, go outside, smoke this, drink this, come back and we'll get out of here. And like, I remember being taken care of by my chef and just like, it's the best job in the whole wide world. And then you get to learn how to cook and starting to create and seeing how like, it started to be like, oh wait, I'm an artist, this is art. Like, being able to start to see the food that way, it was this amazing progression.
What's your biggest fear? This is general.
My biggest fear is never being given the opportunity to start my own business, do things my own way.
Okay.
I have been working my ass off for other people now for the most part of my career, and if I don't get this opportunity, it's going to be really sad for me.
Yeah.
I really want to prove that I know what I'm doing. Yeah. Not even to the world, but to myself. Like, I have all these ideas. I think I know all this stuff. It's like, I want to be able to put all my theories into action.
Well, what has held you back from succeeding in life, in career and general?
Really my drug use has always been the thing that holds me back. We keep going back to that, but like that and being shy has always sort of prevented me from really going after things. Like now my attitude has changed. Now I don't let anything pass me by. I'm gonna grab it all. But for a long time I was really passive and it hurt me as a chef. That was one thing that I really lacked. And when I put myself next to Gordon, that really came through of how much I lacked was just how not aggressive he is, but just assertive. It takes a real skill to be able to communicate to one of your employees and tell them that, like, hey, listen, this isn't right. I need you to do it this way.
So more like a leadership.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a great way to put it. He's really inspired me on how to be a better leader. And as chefs, ultimately that's what we are. We are leaders in the kitchen. We're inspiring our crew to kick ass. When someone goes down, we step in, fill in the gap. Make sure the night service goes well.
What is your passion?
One of my biggest passions and hobby is my car. Is I have a Subaru WRX, and I love driving my car, and I really like to drive it on the dirt and the snow, and it's one of my big stress reliefs is like getting off work and driving fast.
How old were you when you got your first kiss?
17 years old before I even got my first kiss. I am a painfully shy person. I admit that,
So when you see Michael, you see tattoos and all that stuff, you would think that he might have been like super crazy and all that stuff, but he's actually really shy.
Definitely not a player, yeah. I don't even know anybody would even want to watch me on any of this. Like, I don't think I'm not that great to look at. I'm not that smart. I'm not that, handsome. I mean, I cook well, so you know that's my passion.
That like brings you up to like 10.
Yes.
Right there.
Yeah.
All the good cooking. That's a
trying.
question I got. Are you gonna keep your haircut as for your looks, or are you gonna
No.
change it?
Yeah. It's
Are you ever
time.
gonna go back to that spiky hair look that you used to have, or?
No, you can't. I'm starting to lose my hair. You can't be losing your hair and rocking a mohawk.
How did your parents inspire you as a kid?
Just, you know, my father was one of the hardest working men that I've ever met. Like, you know, his dedication to running his own business. Anytime I got suspended or in trouble, I had to go work for my dad. Every summer from when I was 8 or 9 years old was spent working for my father. You know, not like child labor or nothing like that. Like, we were just running around, but we were expected to have like duties at his work, and like, you know, ever since then they instilled this work ethic in me that has been like the greatest gift in the world, you know. And I don't know how to instill it into my son. Like, I can't even get him to like pick up his dishes after he eats, and so, you know, I don't know how parents do it. My mom, her and Shar have been the one people that have got me sober and have kept me there. Like, her understanding and acceptance of what it's like to be an addict and unconditional love is like has kept me alive also. You know, I owe everything to my mom that way. Like, she's always believed in me, never made me feel bad for anything, you know, and has always been there to support me. If I have a problem, my mom can help me solve it, you know, and I just hope I can be like that for my kids too, you know, pass what my parents did for me, because I honestly have probably the most amazing parents in the world.
Do you find it hard to take responsibility for your actions, or do you see yourself trying to blame others for the troubles that you've had in life?
No, man, I take full responsibility for all my actions. Absolutely. Anybody who's been addicted to drugs, you know, you've done lots of bad things to people. You know, anytime you're like put in a situation where you actually put this drug thing in front of anybody else's feelings, like, you're gonna do some damaging stuff to people. So, you know, there's a lot of regret for that stuff, but you know, you make amends so that you need to come to terms with the fact that, hey, I need to turn my life around, and people are always willing to reach out and to forgive if they see that you're working hard and making changes in your life. But anybody that I've done something awful to, I've reached out to, and you know, we've seen to be able to come to terms and amends on it, you know, just because I've changed my life and changed my ways. Keep making these comments, you know. I'd love to make another video if there's any other questions. Look me up on Instagram, SkullandCleavers13. Also look for my GoFundMe out there. You know, I hate asking anybody for anything ever. I don't think that I deserve anything more than anybody else, you know. But I would love another chance to put all my cooking skills out on there for the world to come and taste. You know, I want another chance to prove that, you know, I got what it takes.
Michael right now lives in San Diego. If you do want Michael to cook for you and you live in the area, he'd be more than willing to come.
Absolutely. If you guys are
Cook
looking
you a
for a
meal.
private chef, if you need anybody, if you want to like have any kind of party, give me a call. I'm available, especially to any kind of fans in any kind of job or work capacity. Get a hold of me or get a hold of Miles here, and gladly let's talk and let's make a plan. Let's have a party. I'd love to cook for you.
Before the first video we posted of Michael, me or Michael didn't know how it was gonna go. If it was gonna get no views, if it was a flop, or it was gonna be really successful. So now, as I'm talking to you, the video has been seen by 6,700 people,
Which is a ton of people, man.
Yeah.
6,000 people is nuts.
and over 600 hours watched on that 24-minute video. So people are actually sitting down and watching this thing. So that's been something that's truly amazing.
If you guys want me to show you guys how to make anything, cook anything, let me know, and I'd love to put together a little clip for you guys and show you how to do anything. Risotto, Wellington.
I would like to learn how to make risotto. I don't.
Oh, I have the
Yeah,
best,
good.
easy. I'd love to do a lesson on the risotto if anybody's interested. You know, just let us know in the comments section. A big part of the business that I'm opening now is we're going to do any kind of outreach and what we can do for any of the opiate epidemic. You know, I definitely want to have some sort of active role in like preventing people from doing drugs. Chefs, especially, from getting hooked on drugs, and the ones that are, I would love to help anybody get off of drugs. You know, like, if any of you guys are struggling and you need to reach out to me personally, please do. I'd love to hear your story, relate my story to you. You know, it's not weird, you know, like, especially with addiction, I am here for you. I mean, this thing has almost destroyed my life. I don't have any more handle on it than anybody else does. All I have is my story and my advice, but I'm more than willing to share with anybody that has any problems and wants to reach out.
If you see this video, direct message Michael, let him know you saw it, give him a follow, show some love. So,
Show right back.
alright, thank you for watching. And I hope you look out for my next upcoming video. I have a lot of chefs in line for interviews. So subscribe to me, go follow Michael, and just support what we're doing together.
Subscribe button.
Thank you so much for watching.